Namaste. Today's class is called Sciatica Soothers because it's working on releasing any pain around the lumbar spine, hips, back of the legs. If you haven't ever experienced sciatica, and you will know if you have or not, it's a pain in the sciatic nerve caused by some pressure on the sciatic nerve. And the sciatic nerve is actually the longest nerve in our body. It runs from right up, connected up here at the base of the spine, and it runs down the back of the leg, right down to the foot. And the trouble is there are lots of muscles around here. If they get strained and tight, they can squeeze on the sciatic nerve. Same with any disc trouble, okay? Something can squish the sciatic nerve and send these shooting pains out. Okay, so today's class not only eases pain in the sciatic nerve, but it's going to help stop it happening in the first place. So let's start from sitting, and we'll start with some cat-cow stretches. Sitting nice and tall, letting the head float up to the sky. Take a few deep, slow, mindful breaths to arrive on the mat for your yoga practice. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears and let the cares of the day float away. On an exhale, drop your chin to your chest. And on the inhale, lift the heart, lift the head. Maybe the nose floats up towards the ceiling. And repeat these movements. On the exhale, dropping the chin, letting the back round a little. On the inhale, lifting the heart, tilting the pelvis forward as the head lifts. Okay, so gradually we're making these movements more exaggerated, moving into a seated cat-cow. So on the exhale, the back rounds, pelvis tilts backwards, head drops. On the inhale, that pelvis tilts forward, heart lifts, head lifts. Okay, so rocking the pelvis forward and back. Starting to get movement in the spine, but also into the hips, and then pausing. And then let's take some Sufi circles, rocking around on the base of the pelvis. Let your shoulders and head get involved. Tease your balance a little. How far can you go over to the sides and back? It's not far if you're going to roll over. And then pausing, going the other way. Good stuff. Coming to stillness. And I want you to take the soles of your feet together. In Baddha Konasana, our bound angle pose, you control the intensity of this posture because the closer the heels are to the hips, the more of a stretch going on around the groin and the hip flexors. So you can grab hold of shins, ankles, maybe it's comfortable for you to put the hands around the feet and hold on, but just be mindful that you're not rounding the back in order to do that. We want nice long spines. Press the knees down as you draw the spine up, extending through the crown of the head. And then gently flutter the knees. Again, waking up those hips, hip flexors. Butterfly pose. And then we're going to take a forward fold, and I want you to take this really slow and easy. It's going to depend whether you're doing this first thing in the morning or later on during the day, how flexible everything is, how warmed up your body is. So it could be a tiny forward fold, but we're going to start by inhaling and really keeping this spine as long as we can. And hinging from the hips, exhale a little way forward. As soon as your back rounds, I want you to come up on each inhale. Try and keep a flat back for the first few breaths. So inhale straight as you can, lengthening the spine. Exhale a little hinge forward. You might go a little further. You'll feel the resistance in your hips when they don't want to go any further forward. Maybe now you're bringing your hands onto the floor. Okay, one more deep breath like this. Long spine, inhale. Exhale, forward. Think forward rather than down. And then when you feel a good juicy stretch in the hips, and you'd have to round your back to get any lower, then I'll let you release the head, round the back. I want you to take 4 deep breaths into any sensations of stretch that you're feeling around the hips, around the groin. On the exhale, pressing the knees down towards the floor. On the inhale, you can release that a little. Good. And then coming upright. Cross your legs in a comfortable cross-legged position. That might mean that they're hardly crossed at all and they're out in front of you. Or it might mean that they're up by the hips. And sitting up nice and tall, we can take a side stretch. I want it to be a slight twist in the body today. So we're going to take our right hand across to the right knee. Face your your left thigh, your right hand across to the left knee. Face your left knee and lengthen up, inhaling, lifting that left hand up, and as you exhale, over we go to the side. Okay, but your torso is still facing towards the left knee, and your gaze can be sideways, it can be down, or it can be up. Okay, each one of those is slightly different. It's going to feel different in your neck. Just see what you want to do today as we breathe into this side, trying to press into the sitting bones. Open out through the left side of the body. Come up on an inhale, and then take this left hand back. So reaching back to come into a little side twist, a little more. Deep breath here, and another one. And then inhale all the way around to the front and swap the hands over. So left hand coming to the right knee. I want you to revolve your torso so that you're facing that right thigh. Let's swap the cross of the legs, just to get a little work differently in the thighs and the hips. Good. So we're going to inhale, lift the right hand up, over we go to the left. Noticing one side might feel tighter than the other, breathing into sensations of stretch, seeing if you can soften a little on the exhale, deciding where your gaze wants to be, up, down, in the center. Nice big breaths into your ribs. And then keeping that left hand where it is, we're going to lift the right hand up on an inhale. And exhale, sweep it back behind you to come into a gentle twist. As always, trying to get length in the spine, in between the vertebrae before we twist. Great. And on an inhale, coming back to the front, taking a breath there, noticing how that feels in the side body, the spine, the hips. Good. And then I want you to stretch your legs out long. If you're sitting on a block, you might want to remove it at this point. come to Dandasana, our staff pose. Legs stretched out long in front of you. And we're going to take a series now of hip stretches. So I'm going to start with the right leg crossing over the left and bringing the right foot up as high as you comfortably can. Okay. Hands supporting you as we lengthen up through the spine, and then we're going to fold forward. So inhaling, lengthen, keep those left toes pointing up to the sky. Exhale, slowly fold forward. You can start walking your hands forward. We're going to take 2 more breaths like that. So inhaling, long spine. Exhale, hinging forward. So again, trying to keep the spine long as possible. You're probably feeling sensations along the back of that left leg now. That's your hamstring stretching out, one of the strong muscles down the back of the leg, so the calf muscles, and right up here, up in the back of the thigh, your hamstring muscles. Keep it going. And on an inhale, walking yourself upright, we're going to turn this into a figure 4 stretch. So bend the left knee, take your hands behind your hips, so resting the right ankle on the top of that thigh, that knee, breathing in and out here, and then easing yourself down onto your forearms and lying down on your back. In our figure 4 stretch now, you can rest the hands on the hips. If you want more intensity in this stretch, now we want to work into the right hip joint. We're going to lift the left foot off the floor. And maybe you loop your hands, you thread them through the legs and link the fingers around the back of the left thigh. Check that no tension comes into the head and shoulders doing this, otherwise I want you to drop the foot back down to the floor. You can flex that left foot and draw the left knee towards you on an exhale and then release it. Doing that a couple of times, working into any sensations, breathing through discomfort, but of course stop if that discomfort changes and crosses the threshold into pain. Okay, let's release the foot back down again. I want you to cross the right leg over the left thigh. Maybe you can tuck the right foot under the left calf. Don't worry if you can't. I want you to breathe in there. Take the arms out wide as you exhale, dropping the knees over to your left and coming into a twist. So this is an eagle legs twist. So again, that right foot might rest on the floor. It might be tucked around under the left calf. And you can turn your head to the right and breathe here. Breathe in where there's resistance in the body. Breathe out to relax. One more breath here. Coming up, lifting the knees, unraveling. Gently rolling yourself onto one side, pressing yourself up to seated, and we'll do that all on the other side. Starting in Dandasana, staff pose. Hands are behind the hips, nice and tall, toes pointed towards the sky. This time, crossing the left leg over the right thigh, drawing it up as best you can. I'm going to take a forward fold. Inhale, nice and long. Exhale, walking the hands forward, little forward fold. Okay, you can flex this left foot to support the knee joint. Inhale, exhale. Starting to feel some sensation, perhaps down the back of the lower leg. One more time. Inhale, length, exhale. Bowing forwards, breathing through that stretch. And then let's reverse it. Let's walk the hands up behind the hips. Bend the right knee, resting the left ankle on the top of the knee, the thigh. Enjoying this little figure 4 stretch. And then easing yourself down so that the back rests on the floor. And you might choose to stay here for the next few breaths. If you're not feeling much or you want to increase the sensation around the left hip, then lift the right foot off the floor. Experiment with flexing that right foot. It really engages all the muscles, and you might link the hands around the back of the right thigh, drawing the knees closer to the chest. Just working with the breath doing that. The stretch happens on the exhale. Good, and then releasing right foot to the floor, crossing the legs. You decide how much these legs are wrapping around each other at this point. It could be quite a loose cross of the legs, or the legs could be entwined all the way down. Take the arms out to the side. Inhale. Exhale. Over we go. To your right. Deciding whether you want to turn the head to the left or keep it facing up to the ceiling. You control the intensity of the twist, what's happening in the lower back. Breathing into the stretch, the resistance, wherever you find it. Breathing out, seeing if you can send some soothing relaxation. One more big breath. And lifting the knees towards the sky, unwrapping the legs. With the knees bent, rolling onto your side, pressing yourself up. And come all the way around onto your knees. Little tuck of the toes, and we're going to come into a squat. So your choice how you do this. You can be with the toes on the floor, heels up. You might be able to take your feet a little wider and have the heels down, feet flat on the floor, or the knees might not like this at all, and you could be up in a higher squat with the hips higher up in the air. You choose whether the hands are touching the ground, or maybe you bring them to the heart. Have a few breaths here. Okay, feeling some work in the hips, in the thighs. And then we're going to turn this into a forward fold. So let the toes be pointing out a little in your squat. It will often help the position. Bring the hands, the fingers to the floor. And on an exhale, lift the hips. And you can bring the feet parallel with each other. Take a breath there. Then turn the toes out a little bit. Inhale as you come back down into the squat. We're going to work with that. Exhale up to a forward fold, feet parallel. Inhale down into your squat, toes pointing out to the side. One more time. Exhale, feet parallel. Inhale, into the squat. Good. Come into your forward fold. I'm going to roll slowly up. Arriving into Dasana. I'm going to take a balance. You're so welcome to come to the wall for this balance because it's about stretching out the hamstrings and working around the glutes rather than the balance today. We're going to take hand to big toe pose, starting by balancing on the left foot, pressing down into your left foot, lifting the right knee up. So maybe you've got the left hand against a chair or a wall, lifting this right knee up, maybe squeezing it towards the chest, maybe just seeing how it feels, lifting it. And then as best you can, you're going to grab hold of your big toe. If that's not accessible, you grab hold of your shin, your ankle, however close you can get. Okay, so left hand resting on something, maybe your hip, maybe something a little more sturdy. Inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to start stretching that leg out to the side. Okay, it might not come straight. Inhale, release. Exhale, slowly stretching it out. Trying to keep a nice tall spine. Okay, so we're not hunching in order to do this. Next time, you're going to stay there for 3 breaths if you can. I've gone. Releasing after your 3 breaths and coming back down to standing. Okay, sometimes the balance is just not there. Let's swap it over. I'm having a wall ready in case I need it this side. So inhale, lifting the left knee, and squeeze. When you're ready, as best you can, finding the left toe, the left ankle, the left shin, lengthening up. When you're ready, on an exhale, we're going to start straightening that leg in and out. Like I said, it's more about the stretch today than the balance. So if the balance isn't there, have something to support you. And we're going to stay for 3 breaths. Okay, working into the stretch down the back of the leg. When you're ready, bending the knee, bringing it down to the floor, taking a moment into Dasana, soaking that in. Really good, remember, for sciatic nerve. We're working towards getting this area relaxed rather than clenched tight. So don't work too hard, otherwise the muscles are going to clamp up and do the opposite to what we want. Let's bring the hands to the heart. We're going to float down back to the floor. So inhale, reaching up. Exhale, folding forwards, hands finding the floor. I want you to step back on your right foot into a lunge. Let's make this a nice long lunge, having a stretch out through the hips. So remember, front knee always over the front ankle, reaching back through the back heel, lifting the heart forward, crown of the head forward. Super. We're going to bring this into lizard pose by taking both hands inside the front foot, heel toe that foot out to the side a little. Drop down onto the back knee. You can always come up, lifting the knee again in a minute if you should choose so. And we're working into this left hip. So on an inhale, think length in the body. On the exhale, see if you can drop your heart towards the ground. Keep this knee pointing up as best you can to the sky. And think forward and long rather than trying to get down. So you might come down onto your forearms. You might have blocks that you want to put underneath. You might be up here. I want you to breathe into sensations in and around the hip. Lengthen the spine. Inhale, exhale, soften. Promise this is really good for any sciatic pain. Let's walk our foot back into the center. Tuck the back toes. And step forward. 2 breaths in your forward fold here. Maybe you're easing out those hamstrings. Maybe you're walking the legs out. And then a big step back with the left foot. Nice long lunge. Lifting the heart forward, reaching through the back heel. You can drop your knees straight away or work in this runner's lunge to get a good stretch all down the body. And then let's drop the knee to prepare for our lizard stretch. Heel toe that foot out to the side, hands come inside the foot, so they're not framing the foot. This knee wants to hug into the body. Don't let it drop out. I'm going to inhale, lengthen. Exhale, come forward a little. Okay, you work here for the next few breaths. Maybe you come down lower. But if that makes you lose the integrity of the posture, then far better to be up a little higher. Hugging this knee towards the shoulder. If you want to really intensify the stretch, you can lift that back knee. Maybe you work towards doing that. Nice, deep, slow breaths. Okay, depth over time. There's no rush to get low in this pose. Finishing off with a big breath. And then slowly heel toeing the foot back to the center. Tucking the back toes. This time we'll step back into downward facing dog. Walk out those legs. Pedal out the legs. If you don't like down dog, come to kneeling and sway the hips. And then coming down, everyone to the floor, spinning the legs round. Easing yourself down onto the floor. Lying down. Knees bent. Take them over the chest. Rest the hands lightly on the kneecaps and circle the knees to get a little massage into the lumbar spine, across the back of the pelvis, circling the knees one way, then the other. If you don't like the feeling of doing this, maybe you could keep the feet on the floor and do some pelvic tilts, tilting the pelvis forward and back, and then side to side. And then resting down, let's lengthen out the legs today. I'm going to finish with a little stretch, a palm tree stretch. Your choice whether the hands stay down by your sides or you can take them up over the head. This tends to intensify the stretch or down the side of the body. So first of all, we're going to walk the feet a little over to the right. So walking the heels a little over to the right, shimmying your shoulders a little over to the right, trying to keep the hips where they are so you have a C curve in the body. Those arms are above the head, trying to guide them into the curve. If that feels too intense, then they come down by your sides. Breathing in to a stretch. If you're not feeling the stretch down the left side, then you can move the heels a little further. Shimmy the shoulders a little further. You can stay here for a few breaths. We're going to switch to the other side now. So walking the feet back to the center, shimmying the shoulders so you're back in one line. And then when you're ready, walking the feet over to the left, shimmying the shoulders over to the left. Okay, there's no rush, so pausing, seeing how the body accepts this stretch, knowing that we often have one side tighter than the other. And then if you want to intensify it, you walk the heels a little further, you shimmy the shoulders a little further. So you've got this lovely banana-shaped curve, thinking of a palm tree swaying in the breeze. So you can stay much longer than this on each side. Otherwise, coming back to the center and coming into Shavasana and spending a good minute here, so maybe 6 long deep breaths, inviting the body to soften and relax. As always, if there's any discomfort around the lumbar spine, bend the knees. Feet flat on the floor. This helps support the back. Pressing it down into the floor might feel nice. Resting your knees together. Spending relaxation like this. Otherwise, legs long, toes dropping out to the side. Fingers gently curled. Eyelids gently closed. Relaxing the jaw, the tongue, the shoulders, and especially today, those hard-working hips. Feel a warmth and a softness all around the pelvis, the lumbar spine, around the buttocks, down the backs of the thighs, all down the backs of the legs. Let the muscles soften and release. You can stay here as long as you want. When you're ready to come out, gently rolling onto one side, using the hands to press yourself up, keeping the head low. Let it be the last thing to rise up. Hope you've enjoyed that stretch out of the hips and the hamstrings. Namaste.